The lesson.
Oh yeah.
I know the Onefour boys, personally. I put them on their first show. I knew CELLY since he was 16. Actually got put onto him by a friend of mine, Rochelle, who was working with him in Juvie Justice when he was getting in a bit of trouble. And I met him and we talked about, rap, and realised he was a student of hip hop and he loved Big L and stuff. So I worked with him, and those boys, they're good people. Just like myself, they've made a few bad choices in life, and it's sort of spiraled from what they started, but their timing was perfect, man. I sort of, put them on a show and pushed them towards How Triple J, and I think they got a manager, this Rick fella, and opened up doors from in the industry. I couldn't do that for them. I didn't have connections in the music industry. I had connections that wasn't going to lead them down the right path. So, yeah, I sort of sit back and go, oh, fuck, man, like, I'm really happy that, the boys have made it. Have they opened up a can of worms in music? Potentially, yes. But you know what? Bruh, one thing I say about them boys, man, I walk out here right now and they treat me the same way when I first met them. The fame and the what they're doing, how much they're killing it, and they're grateful and thankful. And I say to them every time I see them, like, bro, you did exactly. I'll give you an opportunity and you ran with it.
Just to touch on that, because I didn't realise. So, the first live show that Onefour did, you booked them for that.
Yeah, so it was the re-up. Me and Sess put that on under our touring company called Out the Trap Entertainment. That was the first and one of the only shows they got to do. I said I met CELLY when he was 16. He was hanging around, doing a bit of music. Just quickly on how it all sort of come together. The boys, I think 2016, 17, they were doing a bit of music. And like everything, we put a bit of music out. You get a bit of response from the things. It doesn't sort of kick off. And then CELLY, we become really good mates. Actually spoke to his mum the other week. He's probably home in July this year because he's doing a bit of a stint. But he started hanging around a bit. I helped him out. He actually moved to Queensland for a bit because he's getting a bit of strife down here. And he was the pinnacle. You ask the boys, they say in an interview who started at CELLY. He was the one that loved the music. And then me and Sesko and Enter and the boys, we did a gig up in Brisbane. And I told CELLY, I said, come through. I think this was like early 2018, like January. And he was like, oh, I want to get into music again, And I gave him an ultimatum. I said, look, bro, you want to come do music? You move back down to the neighbourhood, back to Mountie or Kingswood, wherever you're staying. You get a job, we do music. You know what I mean? Because in that point in my life, I'm not saying come down and fucking do the same mischief you've been doing and make music. I want you to make an effort and be a musician. I don't want you to be out there in the neighbourhood. And he did that, to his credit, come down. And then, I think we started filming. He had a song called Want the Money that he did on a instrumental that he got off YouTube. We recorded it up, and then I think the boys heard it, and I think the boys got wind that I put him onto How Triple J, and he got on the radio, and we started doing a film clip, and then at this time I think it was Spenny, Lex, YP wasn't rapping at this time. I think he was just sort of freestyling. The boys were trying to introduce him into rapping. I think James was incarcerated. But yeah, I met them boys around that 2017-18 era, and obviously, they're from Mount Druitt. It's the next suburb over from Penrith, man. I wanted to help them out. Doesn't really matter where you're from. They could have been from anywhere. They're good people. I wanted to help them out. And they started doing some music. He come back down, helped him out, and then I think we done the first show. They performed. Unfortunately, CELLY got locked up at that time. He didn't get to come perform. But I think it was JM, Spenny. James had not long just got out. JM, Spenny, Lex and YP and a couple of boys, and they come down, they put on a show bar, and they killed it, man. And they were all so nervous too, like we all are when you're doing the thing. But and then after that, bro, they just, you know what I mean? They just took off, and it was just perfect timing. I remember CELLY used to show me all that UK drill and stuff, and I'd be like, what the fuck is this shit, bro? I listen to G-Unit, I listen to fucking Scarface, I listen, you know what I mean? I come from hip-hop, so I couldn't really get into that UK drill, but those boys, man, they loved it, right? And fucking now look at it, and it just snowballed. So yeah.
And what do you, like, as someone who, I guess was there through the early conception of Onefour and them coming up, and now seeing where they've taken it to in only a matter of a few years.
Yep.
How has it been for you seeing that progress for them, and what do you think is the thing about them that made them so big?
One, the progress, man. I just love watching it. You know what I mean? Like, I go to JD in Mountie and I fucking see the boys on the billboards and shit. I just think, man, that's to think like that wasn't gonna happen 5-10 years ago. Australian rap, like 5-10 years ago, if you listen to Aussie rap or gutter rap, Australian street rap, you were Gronk, right? No one liked, it's fucking trash. You know what I mean? There's just a small minority. You know, not dissing the fans that love it, because I appreciate all my fans, but the main conception around it was if you listen to Australian street gutter rap or street music, it was, you know what I mean? Where now it's like if you listen to American rap or UK rap, you're the Gronk. You should be listening to fucking local homegrown shit. So it's I think it's beautiful, man. Yeah, fucking, as I said, I've helped a lot of people out. You know what I mean? Out of, just because for the love of music, man, and people. And I've had a lot of cunts that get up and get a little bit of fame when they're, not directly to me, but they had some issues with, other people around, and, I guess the fame and the ego goes to their head a bit, and like to run their mouth and thinking that they're, never been anybody. But man, them Onefour boys, I'm telling you right now, like, they're the same as when I met them to now. And it's always love. So yeah, I've seen that they've done a little pop-up gig the other month when Samoa was in the World Cup final, and it was just, I replied to Spenny, I said, that's beautiful to see, bro, that you've got an opportunity, to perform in front of your culture, you know what I mean? It's really sad what the New South Wales police and everyone are doing by blackballing, not just them, other people in Sydney now. Like, this is the thing that's fucked up, because you're saying, obviously we all know there's some safety concerns and some risk concerns around that, but why isn't the government or these so-called people that want to help putting things in place to de-escalate the risk? Because if you're telling young kids, right, that Onefour can't do a show because of the risk involved and the violence around it, you're pretty much telling the kid that's living the wrong way, committing crime, that there's no option for you in music because you can't perform. And it's what burns me, right? And I don't know the situation of what's exactly happening. I know a lot of the venues are being getting pressed apparently with police stuff. But I hope one day the boys get an opportunity to really, I guess, reap and enjoy the moments of performing and provide for themselves and their family more financially, because we all know that performance is how we make our money majority of the time. So yeah, it sort of dirties me up, man, because I sit there and go, how can you deny someone or a group of people that are trying to do better in life to feed their family? You're pretty much just pushing them back to where you believe who they are, right?
What do you think it is about Onefour that has made them as big and successful as they are today?
I think there's a lot of things that happened. Even with CELLY, and he started when I met him in his early days, he started listening to me and the boys' music, and his eyes sort of lit up. I think a young kid growing up in Bidwell, he listened to our music and he said, "Holy shit!" Like he's just talking about the struggles that I went through, and I think that a lot of times with artists in Australia that sort of struggle to find their lane or identity, they tend to make different styles of music. Like, for instance, like a lot of the poly boys back in the day, they were all rapping in American accents because that's what they gravitate towards. And you actually hear it in their music, it changes. It's changed the accents. A lot of people have adapted the, I guess, Aussie. Because a lot of their street music will come from America. Now, the accent shit don't bother me, because what matters to me is I don't care if you're rapping in an accent, just talk about Australian culture. I know who's been around where when you're talking about Australian culture, and when you're talking about American or overseas culture, and what language you use, and it is. But I think just opening up those boys' eyes to, now I sort of laugh and you hear all these, Eshe, Eat Swar, and all those yelling and stuff, and they sort of just mixed, I guess, predominantly Sydney slang and behaviours and what we would call gutter rap coming up, you know, in with what was popping at the time, which is UK drill. Look, when you got the world's biggest artist, Drake, rapping on drill beats and talking like a guy from London, you sort of know where to go, right? If you want to make bank, you should be following that fucking style. So I think it was just perfect timing. Like honestly, I just think it was perfect timing. I'm not taking away from the boys their creativity and them as artists, because there's a reason. As I said to you, I was telling 2016, 17, like I think they did Ready for War and a few songs, and I was telling people, hey, these boys out Mountie, man, this is pretty dope. You know what I mean? These guys are talented. These guys are killing. That's why, just like anyone that was in my position, I did what I did. I reached out to them and wanted to help the boys out. You know, so yeah, I think it was just a mixture of everything. One, their talent, two, the timing of it, three, maybe social media in Australia, realizing that these cultures and things that happen actually exist in Australia. You know, there's a lot of times back in the day that, you know, I guess what we talk about, such a small percentage of Australia, they're like, oh, that shit doesn't happen in Australia. Just, you know, where now we got phones and we see things and we hear things in the news. I feel like that Australia actually accepted the fact that this shit's happening. You know what I mean? What these boys are talking about, like, you know what I mean? These places and environments they're talking about are real things, you know? You know, I remember meeting people back in the day and they'd be like, you know, people that are from like in the Sydney near the beaches and stuff, and they'd laugh and be like, oh, that Houso show, that's funny, but that's not real. And I'm like, man, like, you've never been to Penrith, Mount Druitt, Campbelltown, Liverpool, like there's this Houso shit's fucking legit. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and that whole stigma around, I guess, gangster or street music, Australia's culture is so different, and we're probably really blessed that in the 90s, you know, with our gun control laws and gun culture, that things come in, because it would have been a bit different. So I guess when you act tough and you try and do street rap, people are like, oh, this is in America, there's no guns here, which is, you know, anyone that's in and around the environment, highly accessible, right? Just at a very different, steep price. And yeah, it's, you know, I say all the time, we're really lucky in Australia. Me and a lot of my mates, man, I know plenty of people that have been caught in situations. We're lucky that, you know, those sort of laws come in. So I think that sort of hindered the fact that what, you know, I guess the boys at Onefour were talking about existed. But now it's out in the open, right? They know what's happening. You know, a lot of other people and groups probably a bit extravagant and a bit, you know, stretch the truth a bit, which is part of being, you know, I guess, rappers. But I honestly just think that they, with their talent and them as a group and their energy, and I also put it down to like the community's energy. You know what I mean? Like, I think that good things happen, like I said before, and I mentioned about the footy team and fighters from out this way, and I think it was just a moment that was waiting to happen in Aussie rap. And those boys just put themselves in perfect position, and they had the talent with it. And, you know what I mean? Like, they're a bunch of young lads, you know, all in their tracksuits, and they're running around, they're jumping, and, you know, they're cool, right? You want to be like them. Kids gravitate towards them. And they're cool dudes, and that's what I guess that culture's based around. You know, yeah, I think it was just a mixture of everything, eh? I think timing played a part. And, you know, I think we had, you know, a bit of group stuff going on with us, but, you know, that UK drill sound group and those boys just brought a new, fresh sort of aura to it. You know, the way, you know, I sort of laugh too, because I'm just like, man, like, these boys might even be 10 years younger than me or whatever, but like, I feel like a generation isn't 10 years anymore. I feel like it's 5, because technology is so quick, and the way that they, you know, do stuff. You know, even when I met CELLY and he was telling me a few things, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I love you, bro, but fuck, you just think different. And I don't want to sit there, I don't want to condemn them and go, nah, yous aren't like us. I don't want to be, no one wants to be that grumpy old, you know, older boy that goes, oh, you fucking back in my day, this. Nah, it ain't about that with me. It's just like, hey, listen, if I see you going a certain way, I'm going to push you in the right direction. And it's my job, my responsibility to correct you if you're not moving properly. You know what I mean? But those boys just, yeah, kicked it out the park, man. And I hope they continue to. I don't know what's going on with their situation and all that sort of stuff. You know, and obviously that it'd be tough, man. They're getting chokehold by, they can't perform, they can't do certain things. Like I said, they got a bit of probably their own life stuff going on, but yeah, look, they've really opened up the doors, which we all should be grateful for, to new listeners, right? Whether you agree with what they're talking about or not. And as I said, from my point of view, bro, and, you know, knowing them personally, man, they're just, yeah, they've kept it 100 from now to back then, and they show me love. And I'm a mirror, bro. I show people what they show me. So, yeah, I think adding to their accolades is just good, you know, great timing, their talent, this fresh new sort of sound, energy, image, the clips, the 100 people in it, you know what I mean? And, you know, it was just, yeah, it's like people say to me now, but I'm working for the neighborhood by myself. Well, because that's just how I come up. I'm by myself. I don't have that. You know, if I do a clip, I'm by myself, because when I'm in the neighborhood, I'm by myself in the car. I'm by myself, where these boys just brought in that different thing. And, you know, obviously too, you know, being poly boys, there's so much family and culture and engagement. They're all always together. And it's beautiful to see, you know, that sort of stuff. And yeah, I love watching it, bro, even to this day. And people get a bit dirty and, oh, fucking this and that. And even people coming up, like, bro, let people live. You know what I mean?
The lesson. 927. Oh, yeah.